Day 54, Barbary Coast. Here's how I like to introduce the Barbary Coast. The Barbary Coast was a part of San Francisco, kind of like the red light district of San Francisco in early gold rush San Francisco. But where does the name Barbary Coast come from? It comes from a coast in North Africa that was very frequented by pirates, so you can only imagine the types of activities that would take place there. So again, this is how I like to introduce the Barbary Coast before I tell you where it physically was. But the Barbary Coast, well, first off, who would leave everything to come to this place that nobody knew anything about? Because, like I tell people on my tours, San Francisco was not always Golden Gate bridges and cable cars. San Francisco was a bit of a dump once upon a time. Nobody knew anything about it. It was isolated. Farthest outpost of the Spanish Empire. The gold rush happened, right? Not to burst anyone's bubble, but there's a bit of evidence that shows that it wasn't that there was a lot of gold to necessarily be found. There was actually more silver, but I'll talk about that in a different video. And that actually came later anyway. But doesn't matter. The people that actually got rich from the gold rush were the people who did the hotels, the people who, well, human trafficked, right? The people who sold supplies to the miners. It wasn't the actual miners. But the point I'm getting at is that San Francisco, a place that nobody knew anything about and that had no type of infrastructure at all, went from like over a 10-year time period, over 100,000 people swarmed that place, and for the first 40,000, only 700 women. So imagine so think about who would leave everything to go find gold, of all things, right? Adventurers, explorers, not people that are the most mentally fit, if you get what I'm putting down, right? Gotta be a little crazy to like, let me go be an adventurer and find gold. Lots of second sons. So back then, the oldest son gets the entire inheritance. So the second sons, the younger sons feel like they got screwed out. Well, shit, I'm gonna go find gold, right? Criminals, people that were like running from the law, right? People that had nothing to lose, right? Like, let me go to this place, and start a new life. So you get what I'm putting down? So the Barbary Coast was part of North Beach, part of the financial district, part of Jackson Square. It was like this, again, little strip of early San Francisco that was just a bunch of bars, a bunch of saloons, a bunch of brothels, boarding houses where I like to think of it as like Pleasure Island from Pinocchio. So anyway, that's the Barbary Coast.